I am going to initiate a recording, and I believe I just turned it on, so that this will be available to any members who want to watch after the fact and were not able to make it today. So I'll start with myself. My name is Mary Ann Cooper. I'm the Vice President of Public Policy for the Oregon Farm Bureau. So I'm one of your lobbyists in Salem. Although I say in Salem, and we have not yet been in Salem this legislative session. But we are here to show you how to feel like you're in Salem remotely. So I am from a ranching background. I grew up on a cattle ranch in Central Oregon, went to Oregon State, got a law degree at U of O, and then worked in private practice as an attorney up in Portland before coming to the Farm Bureau 6 years ago. So with that, I will turn it over to Samantha.
Hi, everybody. I'm Samantha Bayer. I am Policy Counsel for the Oregon Farm Bureau. I am also one of your lobbyists in virtual Salem. I am actually down in Jackson County, where I am from, and my family has a vineyard down here. I went to college in Texas, and then I got my law degree at Lewis and Clark Law School, where I was a part of the Western Resources Legal Center, and I was actually placed with Farm Bureau when I was in law school, and now I've been on with them for about 3 years now.
Thank you, Jakin.
If I can get all the buttons right here. Hello, folks. My name is Jakin Taylor. I am a part of the leadership engagement team. So following this, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. We're here to help. And I know Mary Ann and Sam are willing to help as well, but they also have some other duties during the session. So anyway, any one of us will help. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Jake. And Tucker.
Hi, my name is Tucker Billman. I'm also a part of the leadership and engagement team over in Eastern Oregon. I'm taking over for Dennis Myram, whom I'm sure many of you know. And I also handle some of the policy stuff for government affairs, or at least help them with some of their stuff. Please feel free to reach out to me at any point in time as well. I'd be happy to help you guys. Thanks for being here.
Victoria.
Good afternoon, guys. My camera's actually not working for some reason, so I can't turn it on. I apologize. I am a leadership and engagement team staff as well, and travel around to the counties helping them. I married into agriculture to a fourth generation hay and grain farmer with some cattle. We're raising the fifth generation. And if anybody needs help, definitely reach out to any of us staff. We're happy to help you anytime.
And Jake and Victoria and Tucker will also be helping me monitor the chat. So feel free to drop anything in the chat if you don't want to unmute and speak up, and they'll make sure to get those questions on the record. Dave?
Hi, folks. I'm Dave Dillon. I'm the Executive Vice President for Oregon Farm Bureau. So I'm a staff person, and I thank you for taking time today to do a better job engaging and navigate this kind of weird world we're in with all the hurdles to public input. So we really appreciate it, and we're really going to need to rely on you this session to have your voice heard. So thanks.
And Barb, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Start video. Yeah, good afternoon. My name's Barb Iverson, current president of Oregon Farm Bureau.
Thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and start my screen share, and you guys might get some intros on my email too, because I'm just going to go ahead and share my whole screen so you can see me jump between things. I just dropped into the chat a how to testify guide that we have developed for you all to use, that you can refer to at any point, that will walk you through the process of both how to testify via video and how to submit written testimony. So please feel free to use that. I will also drop into the chat. It's also found on the document, and now my chat has gone away. There we go. This is the legislative website that has everything you could possibly need about how to find bills, how to find committee hearings, how to submit testimony, check if you've submitted testimony, and we will also cover all of that today. And there's a few places where I will actually refer over to our version of this document because it's going to look a little different on my computer because of some applications that I have. So starting out, we will, I think what I'm going to do is kind of pretend initially that you all know that a bill number, for example, that you're interested in. Hopefully you are all subscribed, and actually let me drop that in the chat as well, to our advocacy alerts, and we will try to just directly link how to testify into those as well. So if you're not signed up, you just go to OregonFD.org/advocacy. And somebody on my team will make sure that I spelled that right and maybe drop in the actual link for me. And we will have direct links as well to how to sign up and how to testify there. So that might be a little bit easier way to get to it. But for practice, we're going to use a fun bill that is up on Monday for hearing. It's Senate Bill 630. And so there's a couple ways that we can find it. So you can go to bills and you can type in the bill number. The easier way is if you heard, okay, this bill's up on Monday. Actually, we'll go both ways. So Senate Bill 630, you know that bill's up. You're like, hey, when's it going to be scheduled for a hearing? You know, I'm interested in it, want to follow along. It's a bill about landowner damage tags that Senator Hansel dropped. So you can type the bill in up here to bills. And so type in 630, you'll see two bills found because it'll also pull up the corresponding house number, but you click on the one that you want, it takes you to this page. And then if you go down to scheduled events, you can see that there is a public hearing scheduled in this committee. So you can click on that committee name, Senate Natural Resources and Wildfire Recovery, and it takes you to this page. I'm going to pause and show you from the home page how to navigate. Sorry, I went a little funky. How to navigate to the same place. So you can also, if you know what committee it's up in, you can go to Senate, go down to Natural Resources and Wildfire Recovery and click on that. So this is the page for any bill that you want to sign up to testify on. This is the page you need to be on. It's the main committee page. From there, you will click on the date of the hearing. So in this case, it's 2:15 at 3:15 p.m. 2:15 being the date. Sorry, those are confusing numbers right next to each other. And so you'll see here, okay, it's on the agenda. We're on the right date. I've clicked the right hearing. And so from here, you can then see down here, there's written testimony instructions and oral testimony instructions. The easiest way, even though it tells you how to submit written testimony here, the easiest way to submit written testimony, and this is on our document, is to scroll to the very bottom of the page and hit click to submit testimony. So once you click on that page, it will automatically take you to a testimony submission form for that date and time for that hearing. So you click on the bill that you want to submit testimony on, enter your name. So in my case, I guess we will, my form's autofill, but you can enter your name without the autofill. And then if you're representing, for example, your county farm bureau, you can type that in here. If you're just representing yourself, you can put the location of your farm here. And then we always encourage people on behalf of to actually go ahead and put your farm name in here so they just know who you are, because then it will show up. I'll show you how it shows up on testimony, but it'll show up with your organization represented. And then you can upload a PDF of testimony if, for example, you have written something up and converted it to a PDF. But I will say for most folks, I think it's going to be easiest to click on text testimony and either copy and paste it into this form from a Word document that you have open, or just go ahead and type right in, this is a great bill and I support it. And we usually tell folks, you know, go ahead and say your name, say where you farm, say why this bill is important to you, and why you support or oppose it. And then you can go ahead and click on the I am not a robot. And that's an important thing to click in this new virtual world. And then you hit submit testimony. I am not going to submit this testimony because I try to represent you all with a little more depth than this. And so we will be submitting testimony on this bill, but not quite so brief. So that is how you submit testimony. You'll get a confirmation page after you do it. And then if you want to submit, if you want to sign up to test, actually, I'm going to pause there and say any questions on written testimony and how to submit written testimony. I see 2 chat. Thank you, Victoria. And the one thing I will note that we are still working to figure out, and Sam and I are hoping to get an answer on soon, is we have historically been able to have you all submit testimony directly through our voter voice system. With the legislature moving to a fillable form system, which is what this is with the click to submit testimony, it's unclear to us if we're going to be able to have folks directly submit testimony to the committee and to their legislators through voter voice. So stay tuned for that, but we'll make it very clear in our weekly alerts whether we're asking you to go ahead and go directly to this fillable form or if we're able to do it through our voter voice advocacy system. So Peter asked, what about submitting visuals? That is a great question, Peter. And let's come back to that same bill. And so again, you'd fill out your information. And then you can also, just so you guys know, you do not have to, on either the signing up to testify or on the written testimony, you do not have to click a support, oppose, or neutral. You can leave that blank. And I will say we often do if we're kind of opposed unless amended. Sometimes we'll leave that blank and just let our testimony speak for itself. So Peter, for your question, you will click on upload a PDF for a visual, and then you can actually click on what it is. So if your testimony, if you wanted to submit, say, a number of photographs to accompany your testimony, and you don't have those all consolidated into one PDF with your testimony, you would go ahead and select photo. They do want it to be a PDF. And actually, let's see what happens. Just a little fun live if we select a JPEG. I have apparently some, I don't know why it's not showing all of my pictures. I see I have not relevant pictures. I have some ag pictures on here. But they're not showing up. Let's do a screenshot because I know I have some here. Yeah, see, it's only letting me, it's only letting me show PDFs. So it does look like it will be limited to pictures that are PDFs and not JPEG files. So you will need to convert those. Peter, if people do have kind of non-traditional file formats that you can't get to work through here, I can show you guys where to email, but you can also just email us for help. But if you email this for the committee assistant name here, so just click on this person's name, you can also email them and say, hey, I have these, I couldn't get them to upload. Can you submit them into the record for me? So that is an option, but you can also just have us help you with that. That's something that's very easy for us to help with as well. And we know all of those committee assistants well. Dave has a question. Yes, Dave.
Well, actually, I was just going to say, I think if you have a picture that's like in an iPhone format, or it looks like it wasn't going to let you use any pictures, you might be able to kind of cheat and take that picture and drop it into like a Word document. And then most versions of Word have a save as PDF function. So you could that's a kind of a cheat workaround if you've got a map or a photo or whatever that's not already in a PDF form.
And I will say, if that sounds advanced to you, but you don't want to deal with committee assistant or anything, email any of us. We all know how to convert things to PDFs, and we don't mind. So Tucker, Victoria, Jakin, myself, Sam, any of us can help you with that, Dave. Just shoot us an email and say, hey, I want to get this submitted, but I only have it as a photograph, or I only have it as whatever, an Excel sheet, and we can get it converted for you. So do not hesitate to ask us, but you can also email directly to the committee assistant here and email it in whatever file format you have, and they will get it uploaded. This is not on your instruction sheet because it's level 2 stuff, but if you want to see if your testimony got submitted, and I'm actually going to go ahead and go to a bill where I know we submitted testimony. You actually will, let me just do it back from this one and we'll see what testimony is in the record. So you'll be back on your page where you can submit written or register for oral testimony. And you say, okay, I just submitted my written. How do I know if it got uploaded? Give it about 10 or 15 minutes and they are automatically uploading now. You should be able to click on the bill and then come over here and click on testimony. and you will see testimony here. And I'm going to go ahead and just show you guys what it looks like for a bill with some testimony submitted. So this is one that we submitted testimony on recently. And it's, you know, so it says Mary Ann Cooper, and we had a group testimony, so on behalf of a bunch of natural resource organizations, and then you can actually click on it. And ours was a PDF. So you can see it there. And then let me see, somebody who might, and you can see these people clicked a letter for their testimony. Let's see if this person did. No. We can try to find one that looks like the fillable form, but it just looks like basically an email to the committee. So this is what it will look like if you click on testimony for a bill that has had some testimony submitted. So with that, I'm going to return back to my example, and I'll go ahead and click all the way through to show you guys, remind you again how we get here. So click on the hearing date, and we now see our bill again, Senate Bill 630. And you will see it is accompanied by one of the more amusing bills to us this session, a goat yoga bill that is also up at the same time. And so if you want to register for oral testimony, this one is a little bit funkier because it doesn't have an easy link like the written testimony where you can click to submit. You come here to oral testimony, and that's live remotely. And you can call this number. So if the computer piece feels a little bit daunting, go ahead and call this number, and the committee will get you registered directly. But if you are able to, you actually have to highlight this link, and then you can left click on it and hit copy, and then come over and open a new internet browser, which I cannot see the top of my screen, so I have to guess a little bit for an internet browser. And then let's see if it actually, hold on, I need to figure out how to move this. There we go. There we go. So you just paste it into a new browser and hit enter. And it will take you to this remote testimony registration form. And let me see, sorry, I see a chat going. And there again, you fill out your name. Again, my computer is going to do it for me because I have a fillable form. And actually this one, I'm going to go ahead and register and show you guys what it looks like. So you enter either your organization or your county of residence. You do not have to enter your phone number, but you can. You do need to enter an email address, but you do not have to enter your phone number. And then you select whether you want to comment. So in this case, I don't want to comment on the other two bills that are up. We are commenting on goat yoga, but Samantha's doing that. I do want to comment on this landowner damage program bill, and we are supporting it. So you click that you do want to comment, and you do not, again, have to indicate a position, but you can. And so sorry, my screen is funky. And so then you click here to receive instructions and meeting participation code. And so you can save this screen, leave it up. Sam, I see you have a hand up.
Yeah, Marian, there was just a question in the chat. I didn't want you to, it was kind of getting buried about written testimony that maybe you could go back to, explaining why someone would say on behalf of themselves or why someone would say on behalf of an organization.
Yes, absolutely. Let me, I'll pause after we just go through. So this page provides the phone number for if you're going to testify live that you would call to access the hearing, or the link that you can click on to join the meeting. And then you will also get this same via, see if it's come through yet. Yes, via email. And then, so you don't have to save that screen. And then you can click again to join the meeting from there. And I will go back to the question that, that Sam had identified before we move on to how to access everything via Teams. So and when you're registering, and this is true of both the verbal testimony and the written testimony, the on behalf of is, for example, when I register to testify, I am on behalf of the Oregon Farm Bureau. I'm not there as Mary Ann Cooper as an individual. And so for me, the weight and the importance of putting Oregon Farm Bureau is that they know I'm speaking for the organization. For you all, some of you may be speaking, for example, for your county farm bureau, and I think it's important for them to know that, whether or not you're speaking, you know, I saw Devin on, if you're speaking as Devin, owner of a farm, or Devin as Hood River County Farm Bureau president. And so I think it is important for them to know that. But the other reason I encourage people, even if you are just speaking on behalf of your farm, to put your farm name in there is so that they know that you're a small business owner. They know that you're a farmer. And when you'll see, and let me pull up one of the bills that has a lot of controversy, and you can see what it looks like when a whole lot of people submit testimony and you can't tell who they are. You don't really know if they're for or against, you just don't know who they are. And so a lot of times legislators will scroll through and they'll be like, oh, I want to know, you know, for example, what the Farm Bureau thinks. So they'll scroll through and they'll be like, nope, don't care. And then they say, oh, on behalf of Harney County, we care, we want to see that. On behalf of, this is a coyote hunting bill, and this person said on behalf of coyotes. Oh, goodness. But we are, now you can see way down here. So this way they can look and say, okay, they were scrolling through and they found, we submitted testimony with Oregon Farm Bureau, Association of Oregon Counties, and the Oregon Cattlemen's Association, the Oregon Hunters, Humane Voters, Harney County Cattlewomen. But for you all, as they're scrolling through here, if they see on behalf of, for example, Bard Wood and Shoe Tulip Farm, they're gonna say, oh my gosh, okay, a farm, let me click and see what they say. So it just really, to me, helps differentiate you from the masses, especially on a bill that is gonna have a lot of testimony like this one did. That was maybe a longer answer you wanted, but did that answer the question? Hopefully.
I think so, man. That was good.
Okay. So then back to the team's testimony, and I'm going to jump over to our how-to document here just because you guys will see for me, when I click here to join the meeting, it's going to actually open in this Teams app because I have the app on my computer. And then for me, it pulls up this screen where then I can toggle my video on and off. You can't see my video because I'm on the Zoom video, and I can toggle my mic on and off. When you enter these hearings, they want your mic off and your video off. So make sure you're not seeing the purple, that you're seeing the all black. And then you can hit join now. And in this case, it's just going to tell me that the meeting hasn't started yet. So we're going to jump over to some screenshot examples in our guide. So for those of you that do not have the app on your computer, which I presume is most people, so you've registered, you've gotten your email, about 5 minutes ahead of the hearing, we recommend click on the link, or you can call the phone number if the link isn't, if the computer piece isn't working for you. But if you click on the link, if you don't have the app, it will just ask how you want to join the meeting. And there's 3 options to actually download the app, continue on the browser, or if you already have the app, you can open in the app. For most folks, you're going to want to select continue on this browser because you won't have to download anything. You won't have to install anything. It'll just open in your browser in the internet. And so you do that, and then you will see it's going to look a little different than my form looked like that I just showed you all because mine knew my name because I have the app on my computer. In this case, you'll want to go ahead and enter your name and the name that they have you register to testify under. And then again, you'll want to toggle the video off and the microphone off. And I just put a note in here that it's black when it's toggled off, it's purple when it's toggled on. So make sure you're seeing double black there. And then when you're in the meeting, and I don't know if Matt Cyrus is on, but Matt was one of our first members to testify, and this is him in the hearing. You will again be able to see up here in the upper right-hand corner of the screen that your video and your microphone are off. When you want to, when you're called on to testify, you will click this button and click this button to turn your video and your microphone on, and then begin with, chair, whoever, and members of the committee and offer your testimony. It's pretty simple. You can see there that Matt has a background that is a picture of his farm. You can do that by, and let me see if I can show you on Teams, but you can do that basically if you hover over the camera button. You can, I'm just going to turn this off. You can, I think it's just going to connect me to my own meeting. You can basically upload a picture from there. And yes, it's going to let me show you, I think. So right here, see, I've hovered over it, and it's giving me a preview. If you go down to more background effects, you can, they have some stock ones, but then you can add new and add a picture from your computer. And so in my case, I've added a couple different farm pictures, and actually a Farm Bureau logo picture, but I could go ahead and select that. And then I usually hit preview when I'm in the meeting so that I'm not turning on my camera in the meeting. And then when you hover over, and it's not showing because I'm not on video, but it would then show me with my new virtual background. So that's, again, level 2 stuff. But if you want to do that, it's kind of a fun thing that you can do, to show legislators your farm a little bit more. So with that, I'm going to pause for any questions. And I think we maybe do have a couple of members who have testified on the computer today. So I don't know if Matt or Rusty or anyone who's testified is on and wants to share any experiences, words of wisdom that you have. So any questions to start? I'm going to stop the share so I can see you all better. The only other thing that I will share with you all, because we did have one of our first kind of really big hearings this week, you don't know what order you're in, and it doesn't necessarily appear that the chair is always starting at the top or the bottom of the list in terms of registering early gets you in earlier. So it is really, really hard to know when you're going to be up. So you kind of just have to sit there and be listening for your name. Because, you know, when we're in Salem, we can see the list and we can see, okay, I'm in front of these 2 people and I'm following these 2 people. So you kind of know where you are. Remotely, we just don't. And so you're kind of sitting there and you don't know if you're going to be called in hour 1 of the hearing or hour 2 of the hearing. It is frustrating, but if you just sit there and listen and kind of follow along, you know, they do give people a lot of grace in terms of calling the name a couple times and giving people a second to unmute their phones or turn on their camera. So don't feel like you're going to miss your chance if the first time they call your name, you're not quite ready, you're not there. If for whatever reason the online format doesn't work, you do have to press *6 on the phone. So if you end up having to call in, and that's in our instructions, make sure you press *6 to mute and unmute yourself. Does anybody, I can also go back to any of the pieces that, if anybody felt like any of it went too fast, I'm sorry, I speak quickly and I never mean to, but I just do. Questions, comments, feedback?
This is Peter. I actually have one of my pet peeves when I sign up to get announcements from all the committees. They don't just send you email you the sheet. They make you go to the link and it takes twice as long and you don't, and it's ridiculous. I mean, I'm sure you do it too. And I don't understand why they can't change that to make it easier.
I don't know either, Peter. And what Peter's talking about, I believe is, let me see if I even have any of it up. I'll just come show you all how to do this. Say that you're really interested in, oh goodness, I'll just pull up a random predator control bill that we know we have. If you're really interested in this particular bill, you can click, so you can pull up the bill, click on bills, enter the bill number if you know it. It'll take you here and then you can follow this bill. And so if you subscribe here, enter your email address and hit submit, you will get any notices of any time that this bill basically is referred or does anything.
Share your screen.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Thank you. Let me start over. So if you are interested in a particular bill, you can enter that bill number and come up to the upper right-hand corner of the kind of homepage for the bill and hit this e-subscribe email and enter your email and hit submit. And if you do that, then you will get any notices anytime that the bill has a hearing, has a work session scheduled, has a vote on the House floor. You'll just get emails specific to that bill. If you're like, man, I'm interested in everything that the House Committee on Agriculture and Natural Resources does, I want to know what they're up to, you can come to their committee page, and you can also do that again by coming over to committees, selecting House, and scrolling to Agriculture and Natural Resources. It'll take you to the same page. And then the same thing, hit e-subscribe email and enter your email here, and then you will get all of the agenda notices for every time that the committee meets. And so that is, it's a lot. And what Peter's describing is when you get the agenda notices, you get them as a link to the page where you can pull up the individual agenda. So you get a link that would then take you to this page instead of being able to see it more readily in the email. It's frustrating. But in this case, you know, so you can see what hearing is scheduled. The other thing I will say is we've had this happen earlier this week. If for whatever reason a hearing runs long and you don't get to testify, you do not have to register again. And oftentimes you can't because they will just carry over who was previously registered. And committee staff should send you a new link to testify. So just make sure you check your email and you'll get a new link and a new phone number for the next meeting. And that did happen to one of our members this week. He had signed up to testify on an issue on Tuesday. They ran way over and he had to end up testifying on Thursday, and the committee assistant just sent him an email saying, you're signed up to testify for this bill. Here's your link. Please join the meeting. And then you can usually expect to be kind of first up in the meeting as they're finishing the bill that was carried over. So Jake had asked if there's any increased importance or urgency in public testimony this year compared to previous years. I would say 100%, because it is their only, you know, ordinarily they see all of us in the halls, they see the public in the halls, they can kind of see if there's, for example, 100 people signed up or showing up because they care about an issue. We don't have that this year. So the only forums we really have at the moment are people registering to testify virtually and people submitting written testimony. I will say, I think everything is a little slower and a little more cumbersome this year. And I really feel like versus previous years, the in-person, the video testimony, the testifying in front of them and having them hear you is probably the most important thing you can do this session, because sometimes it is kind of the only times that they're interacting with people around those bills because they just don't have the same access to their constituents or to the lobby that they did before. I will say the converse, the positive of that is I've noticed in a lot of our more rural counties, because they're not in Salem, they have such access to their constituents. So I think that is positive. Like I've noticed in, for example, Harney County, which is where Rep. Mark Owens lives, and he's a Harney County Farm Bureau member. They have such access to him right now because he's not stuck in Salem and commuting back on the weekends. He's able to be there all the time and go to local meetings, go to the county court, do that kind of stuff. And so I do think that connection back to their constituents is a benefit as well. And Jake asked another question about the virtual testimony seems cumbersome. Unequivocally, yes, it is. And asked if there are positives or opportunities that it provides for us this session. I will say, I think, and we saw it play out this week with the coyote hunting bill that I pulled up all that testimony for you on. We had the opponent side had 45 people show up and testify, pretty much all from Harney County and Lake County. Those are not folks, they were like, we would not have been able to get to the legislature this year, but for this virtual option. And that bill has been run in previous sessions, and previously it was all the kind of animal rights activist folks showing up in Salem, and it was overwhelmingly, I mean, I testified on it one year and I was one of 3 people that testified in opposition. and there was 30 plus in support. So I think if done right, it can be a really, really cool chance to get people kind of quote unquote in the room on issues that they maybe wouldn't have been able to show up in Salem for before. So I think that's where we just really, it is cumbersome. It's annoying to sign up. We can help with it. You don't have to do this piece even on your own. Just, send us your email and let us know what you want to sign up for. And Jakin and Tucker and Victoria can help with that. We can help you with access to Teams. But it is, I'd say this year, it is really important, and it is kind of the one positive and also the biggest way that we can get our issues in front of them, because it's easier for legislators to make bad decisions when they don't have to look people in the eye whose lives they're impacting. And even though this is not the same as sitting and looking people in the eye, it's as close as we can get right now, and I do think it matters. And Victoria asked if folks can testify by video while working out on their farm, and that their background would then be what they're working on. That's phenomenal. So if you have good, I think the thing you want there is a really good cell phone reception, so you're not cutting in and out. But if you have really good cell phone reception out on your farm or at a particular place in your farm, go out there and say, look, I'm standing out on my farm now, and this is how my farm will be impacted by this policy, or this is why this is important to me. And they'll see it in the background. Again, I'd say the next best thing is making sure that your background is a picture of your farm and explaining what they're looking at, because we do know some folks don't have great reception. And we did have an instance earlier this week where a member with pretty spotty internet tried to testify on video from the home, and his video kind of cut in and out the first bit of testimony. He probably would have been better off calling it on the phone. But if you're worried about that and you really want them to see you initially, you can also have the video on, start talking, and then if you turn off the video, it usually takes less bandwidth. So you may have a better than audio, and you can then turn the video on again at the end just so they get to see your face. But I'd say it's better for them not to see your face, but to be able to hear you clearly than it is to have them be able to see your face, but have you keep freezing and cutting in and out. So I got a question if you should be doing both written and oral. Yes, if you can. And if we had a lot of folks earlier this week that were like, well, I can't make this hearing, can I just write in? That is absolutely better than doing nothing. And the writing does matter, and legislators will kind of do a tally and read through some of the stories. That I would also make sure if you're going to do written, go ahead and copy that over and make sure you email that to your state representative as well, and your senator, so that they know what you're working on and what you care about. So yes, if you can, both written and oral. If you can only do one, I think there's a slight preference for oral this session. But if you cannot make the time of the hearing, absolutely write in. It does matter. They are paying attention. It's just, I do notice they seem to have a little less time for reading as much. So just make sure that we know and we can call their attention to it, and that your state legislators know so that they can call the committee's attention to it as well. Sam, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I got a direct message from someone, Marianne. Could you help explain to folks, are they able to submit testimony on a bill before it is scheduled for a hearing? And then are they able to submit testimony after a hearing?
So those are good questions. My understanding, and let's try for one just to confirm it. So after the hearing, I know the definite answer on. They're being more strict about it this year. The record is open for 24 hours after the hearing. So if you had a hearing at 3:15 on Monday, you need to submit your testimony by 3:15 on Tuesday for it to count. But let's pull up. I don't believe you can submit testimony before it is scheduled. Yeah, I don't believe that you can. But if you might be able to email it directly to the committee assistant, but I'd say go ahead and wait till it's scheduled and try to get it in then. And if you want to write in about something before a bill is scheduled, I would go ahead and just email the committee directly. Know that it is part of the public record if you email the committee directly. And again, we can help you with those email addresses. And in that case, again, always copy your elected officials, your state senator and your state representative. And there was another question in the chat. Let me pull it up. If we do our oral testimony, will the committee members ask us questions or just listen? Most of the time they just listen, but they can and do ask questions. And we did see some of that again with the controversial bill around coyote hunting that was up earlier this session, earlier this week. We did see the committee chair asking some of the opponents to the bill some fairly pointed questions. It does happen. And if you're testifying on an issue that Farm Bureau is working on, there's a couple, I mean, if you know the answer and you have thoughts you want to share, go ahead and do it. Remember, you also don't have to accept the premise of the question. So if somebody's like, well, why on earth would anybody want to do X, Y, Z? You can just answer whatever question you kind of want to, whatever you want them to know, and it's your opportunity to talk to them. But you can also, if there's some really technical question on a bill and Farm Bureau is working on it, you can also say, I don't have that information for my farm. That's maybe a better question for Farm Bureau. And we're always happy to help follow up either when we testify or with those committee members after the fact. So they can ask you questions, but no, you can answer whatever question you want. Most chairs are not going to press you for an answer. They'll do that to us as your lobbyists, but they won't do that to the public. And if you don't know, you can always kind of just refer it up to Farm Bureau, or if you're testifying for OCA or whoever, say, that this organization was better suited to answer that question than I am. Victoria asked, does anyone have any further questions or a specific bill? Yeah, that is a great, yes. If anybody has questions, or if you want to know a little bit about, if you want, me to show you how to go through it for a specific bill, something you're tracking, want to see testimony on. And Sam, did you have something to add? Or is that your old hand?
Sorry, I forgot to put my hand down.
No, you're good. And I will just put in a plug for you all. We are trying to be a little shorter with our weekly updates this year. And so we are not having quite as many bill call outs in them. That is because on members only, we have a full bill list that we update weekly that will tell you what bills we're tracking, if there's a hearing on those coming up, what committee they're currently in. So that's a really great resource to use. And if any of you are on your County Farm Bureau boards, Tucker and Jacob and Victoria will have those and can bring them to the board meeting. They also have full access to our bill tracking system and can look up any bills for you. And you're welcome to share those lists with any fellow farmers and ranchers, anyone who's interested in them. They're not, we don't consider it super top secret, the bills we're tracking. So. Jake asked if folks can reach out to Farm Bureau for talking points or help drafting testimony. Absolutely. And again, on bills that we think have a pretty broad interest in the membership, we will put those in our weekly update. But you'll notice a couple of them last week that we thought people would be interested in, but didn't have as broad of application. We just put links in for testimony, but on several of those, we provided kind of the interested county farm bureaus talking points to share with their members. And we are happy to do that for anyone. And we're happy to look at testimony to help you make sure that everything's looking good and how you want to say it. You can also ask us if there's data or facts that you want that you can't find. We have a lot of that information. You can email any of us or email our communications director, Anne-Marie Moss. We have a lot of that information. So any questions, please, again, go ahead and again, not proprietary. If you have anyone that you know is interested in the how-to guide for how to testify, please feel free to share that and have them. It lives on our website. It's accessible to everyone anytime. And if you discover any mistakes I made as you're drafting it or any questions, we'd like to know that as well, because we want to make sure that it's useful for folks and that everything's working as it did for us when we put it together. And yes, Victoria dropped all of our contact information. And Sam and I, for some reason, those are our office phone numbers. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop my cell phone number in the chat. I will actually say for us, sometimes text is actually easier than phone calls this time of year because we are stuck listening to hearings and participating in hearings for hours and hours a day. So it's a little easier sometimes for us to respond to emails and texts than it is to phone calls. So please, please, please reach out. We are here to help you guys access Salem, and it's a little trickier this year. And we do it every day. We can get you in touch with committee staff. We can get you in touch with legislators, committee chairs. So please use us as a resource. Well, if there aren't any questions, I'd say feel free to jump off, but if anyone has kind of anything they want one-on-one assistance on, all of the staff will stick around here for 5-10 more minutes. And we can just chat with each other if no one has questions for us. So thank you all. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.